Hello, welcome to Confessions of a Cleaning Business Owner. I'm Louise, here with Diane Greenwood, and today we're going to be talking about the Domestic Cleaning Business Industry Awards, which happened about 2 weeks ago now. And we're going to look at what we can learn from them, what we can take, and how we can really use that to benefit businesses within the whole cleaning industry. So, to start with a quick recap, right, I am going to confess this is our fourth year of running these, and they were a mega success. But previously, we'd always done them online. So the previous 3 years, and it'd been my job to do them for the last couple of years, although Diane got more involved last year. And this year, it was early on in the year, and Diane pitched to me, come on, Louise, lockdown's over. We've got to get back to face. And what a lot of people don't realize is how expensive it is to put on these events. And she quickly ran the numbers past me. I was like, not a chance. Are we taking that financial risk? It's in the tens of thousands to put on these events. And we lose money every year. And that's fine. We accept that's part of it because we believe in it. And we believe it really adds kudos. It promotes like the best in the industry. It teaches an awful lot to those that enter, and we celebrate the very best. And I'm 100% on board. But when she presented to me that we're doing it face-to-face, and the numbers, I was like, how much are we going to lose on this? And it took her quite a bit. And in the end, she sort of won me over. And I was like, can we keep the loss to like just a few thousand here that I'm going to be spending on these? Which, we accept that that's going to happen. And so I tried to keep the budget down, and she stuck to the budget that was kind of set. And I walked in, and oh my God, I was blown away, Diane. I don't know. First of all, I was blown away because we got there a bit early, and the venue was quirky, shall we say. Like, I walked in, there was a dinosaur on the ceiling, there was a dead body sort of in the floor, like a picturesque one. There was like engine parts all over the place, and I got shown to my room, and it was a converted snooker like table, and you were sleeping in an old engine, weren't you?
Yeah, it's a quirky venue. That was the bar, by the way, with the dinosaurs and cavemen and all sorts of really random wasn't a corporate hotel, that's for sure.
No, and I was like, okay, oh my goodness, though, the actual venue. When you imagine a award ceremony, and what we put out on our promotions, it was very black and white, very gold, very glitzy. And I walked into the room and I was like, oh my gosh, you've nailed this.
Exactly that, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. So the curators, and I'm going to call them curators of this hotel, gosh, they took probably their own fantasy sort of decor, the way they decorated. Now, it was quirky, but for an awards ceremony, it was the Oscars and more, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. And actually, I'll let you into a little secret, Louise, because I was terrified that it wasn't going to come off, that, we weren't going to get the tickets sold. And I was just like, oh my God. And one of the things that I did, a bit of proof of concept, if you like, before we actually committed to doing it, was I went out to our partners, didn't I? And I said, look, we want to put this fourth awards on, and we would like it to be in person, but the commitment is big. We'd love you to be involved. We'd love your support. So I actually went out there and got some sponsorship from our partners, and that gave me some of the security to think that we'd be okay. And I was like, if we sell 50 tickets, we'll be just about okay. We won't break even, but it won't cost any more than last year. And it was all a little bit terrifying. And probably until about 6 weeks before, I had zero confidence we were going to pull this off. I was just like panicking. We'd sold tickets and we got over our 50, but some of the sponsors hadn't quite confirmed things. And it was, and then I managed to get some more involved. And it just suddenly gained momentum that last 6 weeks. And I was like, wow, this is happening. And we got the menu choices, didn't we? And actually the menu looked really nice. And
the food was amazing.
The food was, actually, because I've been to lots of corporate events, shall we say, over the years. And usually the food at these events, it's a little bit cold.
Yeah.
It's a little bit kind of
samey,
picking with vegetables, isn't it? It's very boring, very dull. But actually the food was probably one of the highlights of the night, as well as obviously everything else. And we'd already decided we were going to hire a professional compare. And the lovely O'Wine, who'd done our comparing online the previous year, had been fantastic, wasn't available. So we put out a search for a new compare. But you know what? When it got to the actual night, once I got over the nerves, I sat there. I probably got to about the 9th award. And I went, we've done it. Everything was just so perfect, from James, our professional compere, to the team at the
they're amazing
conference centre. That, I mean, it was like a military operation delivering all this food out, and it was hot and it was really delicious. The team were quite young, but they were really enthusiastic. And we had a technician that was there all night for us. He made sure everything went smoothly with the presentations, etc., etc. And then, of course, we had some VIPs in the room as well, which overwhelmed me a little bit. I was like, wow, we had Delia, the chair of the British Cleaning Council there. She helped last year. She presented an award last year, didn't she? But she turned up in person in her glad rags with her.
Doesn't she look amazing?
She's stunning, and she's such an advocate for our industry, and it was so lovely to have her there in person. And then we had Richard Pearson, who is a presenter on Channel 5. He presents Filthy House SOS. He has a cleaning business too, which I loved. And he was just brilliant. He was so good at like making people feel at their ease, and really loved it. And I know a couple of the people that won awards were a bit starstruck by him, which was...
Do you know what he did? So I was sort of handing out the presentation, what's it called, welcoming drinks. He came and helped me. He pretty much took over my job. He was welcoming everyone. I was like, thank you. He was introducing himself and like welcoming them and showing them everything. I was like, had the best sidekick ever.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He already said he wants to be involved next year, which is fantastic. And then we had Denise Hansen, who's the technical manager at Bits. She's so experienced, and she loves what we do, and we love her. She's so supportive. And yeah, we had all our sponsors there. We had Robbie from Gleaming Insurance. We had TJ from Doc Flight there. We had the team from Bright HR there. It was just brilliant having so many people there that are part of our industry and so supportive. And then, of course, we had nearly 90 people in the room.
Oh, it was packed, wasn't it? It was packed.
And didn't everybody look so amazing? I mean, I don't know about you, but, I was like, what am I going to wear? I got a new dress and dressed up, and we had our makeup done, didn't we, and everything. But everybody that came just looked so glam. It was just so lovely to see the cleaning industry in all its glory, I think.
It's phenomenal. People just look phenomenal. And it was worth, when we had a professional photographer, it was like, wow. And all the photos have gone out. Do you know what made me laugh, Diane? I said a couple of things. First of all, I booked the makeup artist, and Diane was like, you are not attacking me with all that makeup. You were so anti her. I was like, just do it. Just do it. Just let her at you. It was so...
Well, I lost off halfway through the night.
Did you? Oh, I didn't see. I'll tell you one of my other highlights as well that I really like. So, TJ, so he bought his partner in crime, his wife, Elaine. So she was absolutely lovely. And what was interesting, and again, the same with Delia, they bought their partners. And obviously, we both had our partners there as well. And you get to see the real powerhouses behind. So you see the people at the front, like we come on these podcasts, and actually you talk to the partners, the people behind the scenes. Elaine, who's actually doing an awful lot with TJ.
Yeah.
At Dog Flight, isn't it? And you go, this is how it really works. And you just don't get that from... listening to people. You want to know the real people behind the scenes, and you speak to their partners and you hear the real stories. I love it.
And what I loved as well was like chatting to people, obviously congratulating everybody. It was a wonderful night. But like Matt from Line Sustainable Supplies was there as well and presenting an award. And he was saying to me, he says, I'm really shocked, because he said he's part of other organisations and goes to these sorts of things, I think, fairly regularly. And he said, what I loved was, I was sat on a table with some people and I was chatting to them. And they were saying, oh, yeah, we went to their wedding. People sat on another table. And he went, you've not just created something amazing for the domestic cleaning industry. You've created a real community that he said, I've never seen in any other industry. The fact that, yes, friendships, but also the way that people help each other now as part of they were DCBM members, but not everybody there was DCBM members.
No, they weren't.
The awards were open to everybody. People that won the awards that are not members. That wasn't what it was about. But what I loved that feedback from Matt, that he really liked the community that we created and saw the difference that he'd not seen elsewhere. So, yeah.
Do you know what my husband was quite surprised by? Because I wasn't with him for most of the night because we were presenting and I was talking to people. And he comes up to me at the end of the night and he goes, do you know quite a few people listen to your podcast? I was like, yes, I've seen the stats. I know the stats. I know there's 3,000 people a month that listen to our podcast. And he was like, they kind of all know you. They know bits about me, Louise. What are you talking about on your podcast? And I was like, okay.
Let's talk about Gareth. Let's talk about his moustache. Sorry, Gareth, but it was November, so Gareth was sporting a moustache. I'm not a big fan of moustaches anyway, but couldn't stop looking at it. Mark didn't recognise him.
So I love my husband a lot, right? I don't know what
It's lovely, but that moustache had to go. Tell me it's gone. Tell me it's...
So it's gone. So last night, okay, so we were out at a big dinner thing. He's in Rotary, so he'd organised a big dinner, and he was like, he gave me a kiss just at the dinner. That's a bit odd. He just leaned over and kissed me, and I was like, oh, thank you. You know, that's nice. He was like, none of you have noticed. I was like, what do you mean? And we were there with the kids. He was like, I took this moustache off 3 days ago. None of the staff noticed in work. None of you have said a thing. And I looked at him, I was like, oh yeah, it's gone. But I said, you know, I don't, it's hard because we've been married a long time. We've been together a long time now, probably 20, we've been together nearly 20 years. And I know I love him and fancy him, whatever, right? But the moustache, and I sort of said to him, you know, do we have to? And he, you know, but if he wants a moustache, have a moustache.
Good cause. It's for a good cause.
Well, I'm not even sure it was for a good cause. He claims he did it because he can't grow facial hair normally, so he wanted to really go for it. And I was just like, wow, okay. So yes, he had the moustache. It has gone now. Yeah, I prefer it without it, but whatever. You know, when you're with partners, and this is the interesting thing, tolerate little quirks. You know, he doesn't care how I do my hair, what I wear, and if he wants to have a moustache for a few months, have it. Like, do I like it? No, but whatever.
It was nice though, wasn't it, to have Mark and Gareth there, because they're such big supporters of us and what we do with the DCBN and our cleaning businesses as well. And I know Gareth works with you in the business. And I know Mark kind of, you know, he enjoys it. He always enjoys chatting to people. But I think, again, it's that shock of everybody in the room seems to know who you are.
You know what I find funny, especially about you on social media? You share a lot of the stories about your house renovation, right? Which is lovely and amazing. What nobody sees, right? This phenomenal house renovation.
For him.
You don't do a lot of this, do you? I know you're used to renovating properties, but I see like you've just put in a travertine floor. I'm like, did you even pick the tiles? And I
watched it last night. There you go. I did my bit before it gets sealed today.
But Mark has this vision of what needs to happen. And like, I see what he's done with like a wall around the pool and these things. And you kind of take the kudos for what's really going on sometimes.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I'm all about vision for business and future. And it was all my idea to move to France in the first place. It started a long time ago for Mark to be able to retire from work, from a proper job anyway. But, you know, it's like, so that was my vision and that's what I work on and what I put into place. And Mark always gives me so much support and kudos for that. And I hope I do the same for him, because absolutely, I might be the one that he doesn't do social media, but I post on the social media and it's just like, and I do, it's like 8 days it's taken him to take our living room from a concrete floor that we've had for 4 years to this beautiful travertine floor, which I could only have imagined. He has the vision and then the ability to put it into practice. So we're very complementary, shall we say, in that I'm not very practical when it comes to stuff like that. I would have messed that floor up without fail, whereas he's not the business-minded person. So we're complementary.
But we're going to do this. You will see in a few days, I'm going to post my new staircase because it's been sat on the floor for the last 4 weeks. It's got to go into place soon. I will have nothing to do with it. I'm not even there when it's getting put in. It's all our partners. And talking of partners, so we actually put into surprise special awards.
We did.
Keith Hennebell. I'm a little bit in love with him. Like, I adore him. He's the biggest supporter of the DCBN. I think he's phenomenal. He really is out there to support the industry. He puts a lot of his own time into supporting individuals. He gives away his knowledge, his time, his support. And he's been really honest as well on both our podcast, and he's launched what's his podcast called? Do we know? I will look it up in a second. So he's got his own podcast, him and Bex as well, which is brilliant. And I would promote it here if I could remember the name of it off the top of my head. And he was there and he had some of his team as well. And oh my gosh, how much do his team love him? Like that.
Yeah, and they had a whole table, didn't they? And in fact, actually, they had a table and a half. And he brought the whole team. So he literally hired a minibus, drove them all the way from Kent to Coventry. They rented an Airbnb and they all stayed in this massive Airbnb together and then came to the party. They had, like I say, there were girls on one table and the guys were on another table shared with other people. That's how they wanted it. And they had such a good time. But yeah, when we gave Keith his special award, there was a massive cheer. From the room. Specifically, his team were jumping up and down and like making him come up to the stage. And it was just so lovely. to see him get that support and for us to have that opportunity to say thank you for the support that he gives us was pretty special, wasn't it?
And everyone, it's not just us, it's not just his team. I don't think I know someone so giving. And it was interesting. He came up on stage to take his special award and I handed him the microphone and you could see him almost starting to like, well, I'm going, I've never seen him speechless. And he literally was just like, thank you, and ran. And that's not Keith. He can normally talk the highlights of a donkey, bit like us. So it was nice to see someone recognise the individual effort they put into the industry, which I absolutely loved.
It was nice.
But going back onto it, again, it's the partners. It's Bex behind the scenes. Who's the real powerhouse? It's never the one you see. It's the one you don't see. And that's who, yes, she didn't get a special award, but actually that's who's behind it all. And that's what I love.
But what's lovely is you see these people with great businesses. You know, Keith and Bex have got a great business. They specialise in holiday let cleaning. They really are nailing it. They do really well. And actually they were, they won an award. But actually it's then giving back, isn't it, to the industry? And that's one of the things that we're passionate about. And why we wanted to have a sort of a little special recognition in there for them. So, yeah, I mean, it was just an amazing night, really, wasn't it?
Lovely, absolutely, just wonderful. And I met people that were new to the industry, and there was a lovely couple on my table, and I was like, "How are you doing so well in your cleaning business?" And actually, they won an award. And I was talking to them, and they went, "Louise, we've got something to confess." I was like, "Okay, like you're very young, you're very new to this, but you're really rocking it." And they were like, "Yeah, you know our dad." And I was like, you have got such an advantage. You're like a major player in the industry. And I was like, yeah, it was Gary Burton, wasn't it? Yeah. And I was like, no wonder you're nailing it. You've grown up knowing how to run a cleaning business. And you start to see people who are, they're in their early 20s running a very successful cleaning business. And I was like, wow. But yeah, it's just inspirational to see. And with good advice and good guidance, they are rocking it really in year one. And I was like, no wonder you're doing so well in Best Newcomer. Like, it's interesting that the judges that picked the people that are winning, when you see the people, you go, oh, I get it. I get why you're winning, because you can see.
Yeah, it was really good, and it surpassed all my expectations. And we're almost a month post event, and I'm still buzzing about it. I'm still we put out some social media posts about it. With some of we had a professional photographer, so there's so many photographs, and we had all those beautiful banners made, which we'll use again next year. And I'm already starting to think, right, okay, next year I need to book the venue. We're going to do the same venue, I think, aren't we?
Loved it.
So good. Accommodation was there we were all staying in this big house, weren't we? And all had rooms in the big house. And yeah, so we're going to book the venue and get started, and it'll be even bigger and even better next year. Cannot wait.
Let's talk, because it's not just about the night, and we make very sure it's not about the night. Well, it is about the night, but there's more beyond that. So when we look at it, you don't just get the award. So let's talk about the winners first, because it's not just the winners that get it, but let's talk about the winners. So I have seen article after article in local newspapers. The moment you win an award in an event as big as this that represents the whole industry, that's newsworthy. And so, they were sharing it with us and we were reposting. Pretty much every winner was in a local paper. And it's important to be local. You don't need to be in a national paper because you're only serving your local area. So they're out there, they're getting local publicity. That's adding kudos to their business. They're adding that onto their website. They're sharing it on all their social media. And what it means is when people are considering which one to get, do you want the one voted the best in the UK, or do you want someone else? Let's have the best.
Yeah, one of our winners, they even ended up on a local radio station talking about it, which was amazing. And we always share. So if we see things, if we get tagged in posts, we'll share as a DCBN. And of course, with all the photographs, they're ideal for local newspapers, usually online newspapers now, where you can share, because they've got the professional photographs to go with it. The newspapers love it because they've got professional photograph and then an award to celebrate. They absolutely love it. So the thing with entering awards, and obviously we want everybody listening to this podcast, if you've got a cleaning business in the UK, you need to enter these awards next year. It'll be the 5th year. The party to celebrate is going to be bigger and better. But the benefits to your business are going to surpass what you could ever think. And we put out a plea before we launched the awards this year, didn't we? We went, please enter. Even if you think it's not going to be right for you, enter, because it's good practice. When you enter, first of all, you can learn some of the skills needed to pat yourself on the back and talk about your business in a really positive way. And it might encourage you to enter some local awards as well, which can be really good for your business. But the focus on the how good your business is just will give you such a boost, won't it? And if you've got a team, it's going to give them a boost. Your clients, like you said, who they're gonna choose, the award-winning business or the other one. It's just so good in so many ways, isn't it, entering awards?
So one of the things that we did in the first year, we've not done so much this year, is we actively had to say to people, this is how you enter. You have to nominate yourself. And we took people through step by step, and I gave example answers all the way through. We basically templated all the answers in year one, and we've done that less and less now as it's got bigger and bigger. But one of the things I would like people to take away is, yes, it's great to win our awards, and yes, I want you to. But this is learn how to do it with us, and we will take you through it step by step. We'll do podcasts, we will write articles, we will do everything you need to enter the awards. Doesn't matter if you win or not, because what you've done once you enter our awards is you've then got the blueprint, yes, it will need tweaking, to enter more and more. And the moment that people realise, I have to nominate myself, and we openly tell them that, but you don't openly get told that on every other awards. Every other business awards, right? And this is like big shocker to everyone. People nominate themselves. No one's going to nominate you because it's a pain to actually write the nomination. So no one's going to do it for you because they can barely do it for themselves. And the other thing is, if you want to win an award, don't go for the big one, right? So we have 3 big ones. We are inundated with entries for that. Loads and loads and loads. So we actually get a lot of nominations anyway. But if you want a better chance to win, enter a smaller, more specific one. So best social media, best newcomer, best employee. There's loads of them. I think we've got 9 other ones on there. Yeah. You are much more likely to win that because we got much fewer. That's not the way. Less entrants in those. So statistically, if you're 1 in 10, you've got a 1 in 10 chance. When you enter the big ones, we're getting 30, 40, 50 entering for those. So you're now 1 in 50 for some of the big ones. Your odds are a lot smaller. So play the numbers. And if you enter 2 or 3 of the smaller ones, you've now gone from 1 in 10 to 3 in 10. You've now got nearly a 1 in 3 chance of getting those top places. So, statistically, what I've learned is if I want to win an award, go and play the numbers, enter the little ones.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're talking about your local awards, I know when I first started my cleaning business, I entered the Startup Award, which again is limited because not everybody can enter the Startup Award. I also won a Marketing Award because again, it's very, very niche rather than Entrepreneur of the Year or Best Business of the Year. And although I remember being nominated as part of that process of the Small Business of the Year, but I was up against a business that was really quite big and established compared to mine. And yeah, I was placed, but I was never going to win that award. Whereas the marketing one, I could really sort of target it down as to how good my business was at marketing. It didn't actually matter how big my business was.
Do you know the other thing I noticed from having read over the years? I've read a lot of applications, an awful lot of nominations, right? And I think I've definitely seen it change over the last 4 years to more and more ChatGPT and AI, right? Now, some people are very, very good at using ChatGPT and can make it personal. But the one thing that I see now that makes it stand out, I want to see real specifics. So, when you answer the perfect interview question, you kind of set the scene, you say the specifics, you set the scenario, you give the scenario, and then you say the outcome. So I would be answering exactly the same format and I would be giving as much specific, because otherwise, how do, best staff training? Well, really, you're talking about quite generic systems sometimes, but some people have put in real specific examples. And if everybody's got the same system, I need to know what makes you stand out.
I agree.
Yeah. That's what I want. And it can be really tiny, like I did this and this happened. Make it real.
I felt that on the Community Champion Award, particularly looking through and seeing a list of things that a business owner had done to support their local community, rather than a maybe more generic one where it was like, we have an ethos of supporting our local community and we like to buy local or whatever. There was some really, and the winner actually, she'd done a charity boxing match, and she'd learnt to box and then taking part in a charity boxing match. That was only just one thing. There was a whole list. But, it was just, that's what you need, is you need yeah, a little bit of an overview, but you need some specifics in there if you're entering awards.
And I think the other thing, like I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Best Newcomer. And they really talked about the relationship with them and their mum and how they together had bonded and worked through this. And I was like, by the end of the application, I was like, in the story, I was like, tell me a story, get me to buy into you. And yeah, I don't know if this is the right answer, the right way to do it or not, but if they're being judged by real people, of which every award is, then if you can take them on your journey, then you are much more likely to win. And it's hard, but that is how to start winning awards. Get people to buy into you. Be real, be specific.
Yeah. And, and it's just good for you to, I think one of the things as business owners, I think that we can all often just be thinking about what's next. So we talked on a previous podcast about levels. So, okay, say you're at level 3, you're just thinking about level 4 and not actually celebrating the fact that you got through 1, 2, and 3. And actually awards and entering them and hopefully winning them and then coming along to the parties to celebrate. That's a way of acknowledging that you've done 1, 2, and 3 before, and it'll boost you then to get to level 4. So I think there's so many benefits to really celebrating how much you've achieved.
Do you know what else I like, which again really benefits people? So for our top 3 awards, that you get shortlisted down to 4, I think, and then it goes out to the public vote. Now, the good companies, of which, to be fair, all of them are good, they go out to their customers, they go out to the local community. Well, do you know what? You're getting them to vote for you, you're asking for something. And interesting from a marketing point of view, if you ask for something back from people and all you're asking for is a vote, they'll give it to you, they'll show you that they are bought into you, and you're going out and you're marketing. Quite often they're in their local groups, anyone that will buy into them. They're getting business, they're getting promotion just off the back of asking for votes, because it's such a little thing to ask for and they just want to buy into you and support you. And so without winning, they're still doing better than those that are not nominating. And you go, it just is self-perpetuating. You nominate, you believe in yourself, you promote that, you then get voted, then people buy in, then it just goes up and up and up, and then you win or you get placed, and then you're in the local papers. And it's like, either by this point, your competition, your local area don't stand a chance, because you're not self-promoting, you're asking for things each time, and that gets you noticed.
Yeah, and I think last year we had about 1,000 votes. This year we had 3,000 votes. So the work that everybody did to get that information out there, and we help, because obviously we promote people to vote, but we provided all the graphics for them to do their own posts and help them to do it. Whereas obviously most awards don't do that, but we're all about helping the industry. So everybody that was shortlisted for those public votes got a load of marketing resources that they could use. It kept it on brand, so it meant that when people saw it, they knew what they were seeing, which was really good for them and for us. But yeah, the furore and the sort of like excitement that they created was brilliant to see. And what I loved was I was watching the voting, and honestly, I thought, oh yeah, they're going to win it. It's clear. And then I was like, I looked a couple of days later and I'm like, flipping heck, it's changed. The leaders changed hands, and it kept changing throughout. And I didn't know who was going to win until we closed the voting. It was that close at times.
The social media one was very... Oh, was it so? No, that wasn't open to the public vote, was it? There was another one that was very close. But I loved it. And what a night. What a night. And just the people that I met, so many people that it's really interesting running the DCBM, because we are effectively an online, the moment we're up, right? But that is going to change. And we keep promising it. I'm going to have to release the date for this training course, aren't I? It's going to have to be January now. I will release it, but we are going to do more and more out in person, because that's what people want and need. I think there was a time during lockdown where people needed us to go online, but we never intended to be an online business. We were literally named. It's about networking. We 100% wanted to be out there, and then we had to go online. It wasn't where we necessarily thought our skills were or that we could help people best, but we had no choice. And so it's interesting that we will now start to go more out in person. We're set up online. We're brilliant online. Every resource is online. You can access us online. You can access us from around the world. So now let's get out and really make a difference to real people.
If you're still on the fence about awards, jump off it. Enter next year and come and join us at the massive party. I'm expecting double the number of people. Luckily, the room will expand to accommodate, and we'll see you there next November. Cannot wait.
I cannot wait. I think a lot of people were like, let's see how they do first. Well, didn't we do well?
Yeah.
If we exceed my expectations, then we did well, and the awards will be better. I broke 2 awards, so I had to reorder.
Were they broken in transit?
One was broken in transit, and then one I was trying to take a photo of, and somehow, and I don't know how, it just sort of broke in my hands. So
that replacement's nice and quickly, though.
Everyone got sent replacements, yes.
Lovely. Brilliant. So yeah, enter the awards next year, 2025, and we'll see you in November 2025 at the massive party to celebrate.
See you then. Bye-bye.